Hi there, welcome to the next installment of my Holiday Fridays Christmas card tutorial series. Today I'm working with the Avery Elle Holiday Spirits stamp set with the coordinating dies. It is a fun, more humor-based stamp set with a liquor bottle theme. I thought it would be really funny to send this to a couple of my friends and family. I'm going to be doing some alcohol markering today, so I will be using my Spectrum Noir cardstock, and I'm going to stamp the images, all of them together. I'm going to be making multiples of this card, and each card is going to get one bottle of liquor on the front of it to embellish it. So each card is going to be a little different. I'll be stamping using my Favorite Things Extreme Black ink, which is an alcohol-safe ink. I did cut out quite a lot of the footage of stamping out multiples. I figure if you've seen it once, you've seen it a bunch of times. These stamps were brand new, and I did have to stamp it, I think, 2 or 3 times to get a nice clean image, but subsequent pages that I stamped out worked just fine. These are nice, good size images as well. They're probably a good almost 3 inches tall. These little bottles here. And like I said, we're going to be coloring with some Spectrum Noir markers. I did cut a lot of the coloring out. A little bit redundant. And again, I was making multiples of the cards. I thought it would be fun to have some green liquor bottles and champagne bottles. I kind of see that festive blend bottle as a champagne bottle, so I thought it would be fun to have a couple of them green, your traditional green liquor bottle. I have a friend in mind. As I'm coloring this, there's a very particular friend in mind, and I was actually kind of laughing to myself as I was coloring these. I'm not much of a drinker anymore. I haven't really had much to drink since I was probably in my mid-20s. I used to love to get together with friends and have parties and things when I was in college, and then out of college, and then kind of right around the time I hit the legal drinking age, it sort of lost its charm. I don't drink a lot much anymore. Personally, there was this incident which shall remain unnamed, regarding some apple schnapps. I was probably in my mid-20s, and I swear I was dead. I was hungover for about 2 days afterwards, and never got intoxicated again. And this was 15 years ago. I think this was right after I started dating my current husband. He was there. We were doing shots, and it was just not good. And it was probably the worst hangover ever. Never again. And I never drank to excess ever again after that point. I swear I was dead, and I never wanted to experience that ever again. So there's my long story about why I don't really drink anymore. I've mentioned it a couple times on my channel that we're not big drinkers. That's why. I had a lot of fun coloring these, and I did just very, very basic coloring, just two color blends at most. I'm doing the little labels here in sort of a light ecru, and I'm going to blend it out with a colorless blender. One of my few Copics is a blender pen. So that's what I'm using right here. I'm not sure if I let the ink dry long enough. Some of the colorless blending smudged the black ink a tiny bit as I was coloring over it and blending it out. But I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So I kind of left it, and it kind of looked organic, like it kind of aged the look of the label a little bit, even though that was not something that I did on purpose. But I left it because I thought that it was suitable on the labels. I have a very hard time with my reds, coloring with reds and getting a good blend with reds, and I find that I don't really like the variety that you get within the Spectrum Noir line. So I'm actually using a coral red to blend out a dark red, and that gets kind of my favorite combination. It kind of gets me close enough, but not quite what I wanted it to. I keep telling myself maybe someday I'll invest in a couple more Copics and do some reds. So far I haven't yet. the Spectrum Noir markers make a really nice alternative to those of us that can't drop $8 to $10 per marker, especially if you're willing to build a collection slowly like I did and wait for things on sale. So I colored multiples of this same page, and then I went in with my white gel pen and just put a couple different shine accents on the bottles. Nothing too fancy, just giving it the appearance of a little dimension. And then I'm going to die cut it, and I'm using my new Gemini to cut these out, placing the dies, and using a little washi tape there to hold the dies in place. Sorry if you can hear any background noises. I'm filming this in my apartment. We've had like two different residents from the apartments upstairs, move out over the last couple of weeks, and the landlord has been in and out, and also he's had a couple of contractors in and out doing some work upstairs, so it's been really noisy. And I'm not sure if any of it is picking up or not in their recording. So I die cut those out. They are really cute. And I did die cut multiples because I colored multiples. I still have, as of this filming, these cards are already done and sent out to friends and family. I still have like 25 more cards that I need to make. A little bit behind this year. I normally am a lot further along in my Christmas cards. So I have this Simple Stories Christmas paper pack that I got at Tuesday morning a while back, and I want to use it up effectively. So I have enough stuff to make 12 cards, so I'm pulling out 12 pieces of paper that I want to use from that pack and cutting them down to size for the front of an A2 card. Except for one piece of paper, that white and red stripe came from another paper pack just because I was one short. So I pulled that in from elsewhere. So I also have a bunch of card bases that I'm going to use up. Some of them are top folding cards. Some of them are side folding cards. I'm going to make basically two different versions of the card here, and I'm using my favorite postage stamp stacking die set there, and I'm cutting the largest and the second largest of the postage stamp. One of them is going to be for vertical cards, and one of them is going to be for horizontal cards. And I'm just kind of figuring out where I'm going to place my sentiment. Excuse me. I used two different versions of the sentiment. One of them is "Let's get into the holiday spirits," and another was "Wishing you plenty of holiday spirits." And I'm actually stamping those out using my Distress Oxide inks. I have to stamp a couple of times to get a good impression with the oxides, but I really love the way that the colors look on white. And I like that they don't stain the stamps, which is a good alternative to pulling out my Ranger inks, which do very much stain stamps, which is fine, and it's normal. It doesn't hurt the stamp, but I do try to keep them clean. And here's for the horizontal card. I couldn't think of the word. I'm just kind of figuring out spacing on that as well. I have this foam, craft foam, that I've been trying to use up. So I'm going to use some of that as a little backing to give a little dimension to the cards. And the foam is cut a lot smaller than my white pieces of cardstock there, so they're not going to be seen, so it didn't really matter what color I picked. And I'm just going to adhere one of those to the back of my postage stamp, and then get that adhered to the card, and then get the bottle adhered to the top of that. It's actually really quick and easy how this came together. I like to work in batches, so I would sit down and do all of one thing and then move on to the next thing, assembly line style. So I'm getting my postage stamp there attached to the card. There we go. I have a pile of horizontal and a pile of vertical. I'm using some of my mixed media adhesive from Recollections, and just going to adhere my little bottle die cuts right to the postage stamp die cut there with my sentiment on it. Assembly line style. I'm not really giving too much thought to what's going on where, just boom, boom, boom. Grabbing the next one, putting it on. Sorry, that's a little bit out of screen there. Sometimes I forget when I'm doing a video that I move off screen. I thought it would be fun to make the bottles shiny and look like glass, so I'm grabbing some of my Nouveau Crystal Glaze and just covering the top of those bottles. I did have some issues when they were dry. I had to use my fingers to kind of stretch them backwards a little bit to get them to stretch out. So if I had to do this again, I would put the Nouveau Glaze on top of the die cuts and then adhere it the following day after they were dry. And just a couple of Nouveau drops. And there we go. I did want to point out that I did have one bottle with the Nouveau Glaze on it where it kind of dripped off. I had it at a slight angle when I let it to dry, and a lot of the glaze dripped right off onto the card and it was ruined, which was unfortunate. So I only have 11 cards here to show you, but I did cut the die cut with the Nouveau Glaze on it off of the cardstock, so I can use that again on a different card. And there you have it, the Holiday Spirits with Avery Elle set. I hope that you have enjoyed and that you have a great day. Thank you so much, and I will see you later. Bye!